The Great Goat Chase by Tony Bonning and Sally Hobson. The Great Goat Chase. Mr. Farmer had a field, and in his field he decided to grow turnips. So he plowed the field, and he sowed the seeds in long, neat rows, up and down, until the whole field was done. The seeds grew, and soon every row was filled with large, round, plump turnips. Now Mr. Farmer had 3 goats which he milked every morning, but one day Mr. Farmer left the gate open, and the goats slipped right through, and they tripped down the road and right into the turnip field. They could hardly believe their good fortune. Straight away they began to chomp the turnips, row after row after row. Mr. Farmer, who was having a late morning cup of tea, looked out of the kitchen window and saw those goats gobbling up his turnips. "Oh, no!" he wailed, running out the door, spilling tea everywhere. Mr. Farmer then tried to chase the goats out of the field, but those goats had minds of their own. One ran this way, one ran that way, and a third ran another way. Could Mr. Farmer get those goats out of the turnip field? No, he couldn't. "I know," said Mr. Farmer. "I'll get Dog." He gave a loud whistle and Dog came running. He rushed into the field and tried to herd the goats, but Dog was a sheepdog, and those were goats. One went this way, one went that way, and the third went another way, round and round the field, until Dog was exhausted. Could Dog get those goats out of the turnip field? No, he couldn't. As Mr. Farmer and Dog stood at the gate wondering what to do, Horse stuck his head over the fence. "What's the matter?" he asked. "Are those silly goats too fast for you?" "Probably," said Mr. Farmer. "Never mind. I've got good long legs," said Horse. "I'll soon have those goats out of the turnip field." Horse jumped the fence and raced up the field, sending turnips flying. Now Horse was bigger and faster than the goats, but they could turn more easily. One turned this way, one turned that way, and a third turned another way. Could Horse get those goats out of the turnip field? No, he couldn't. As Horse sat down beside Mr. Farmer and Dog, Cow came up to them. "Let me show you how it's done," he said. "My big horns will soon send them on their way." And so they did. One goat went scampering this way, one goat went scampering that way, and the third goat went scampering another way. Every way but the right way. Could Cow get those goats out of the turnip field? No, she couldn't. Now Pig, who had been grinning at the efforts of his friends, decided to show them how it was done. "It's time to get tough," he said. "Show them a bit of muscle." Pig pumped up his great shoulders and trotted into the turnip field. Then he dropped his head and he charged with all his might. One goat nimbly tripped this way, one goat nimbly tripped that way, and the third goat nimbly tripped another. Could Pig frighten the goats out of the turnip field? No, he couldn't. Mr. Farmer, dog, horse, cow, and pig all sat down and cried their eyes out. Boo-hoo-hoo! Boo-hoo-hoo! Just then, little Busy Bee came buzzing by. "What's the matter?" she asked. When they all told her, she said, "I'll get those goats out of the turnip field." "You?" they said. "You? A teeny weeny, tiny whiny, toddy waddy, wee bee?" "Yes, me," she said. Mr. Farmer, dog, horse, cow, and pig all stopped crying and began laughing and laughing until they were flat on their backs, legs in the air, hysterical. When they had finished splitting their sides, little Busy Bee said, "Can I go and get the goats out of the turnip field now?" "All right, off you go," they said, drying their eyes. Little Busy Bee flew into the turnip field. She buzzed around and around the goats' heads, and then she said, "If you don't leave this field right now, I'll sting your bottoms." Could Little Bee get those goats out of the turnip field? Yes, she could. The goats didn't need a second telling. As fast as their little hoofs could carry them, they were off, out of the gate, up the road, and on the hillside. At the gate, Mr. Farmer, dog, horse, cow, and pig all stood feeling very silly. "Sorry, Little Bee," they said humbly, and they all agreed that sometimes little people can do things much better than big people. The Great Goat Chase.